So I assume by now most people have already seen about this stuff, but been asked a lot about it recently, especially on the stream there. So I figure might as well give it a place to talk about it because there's not really much like to talk about yet, but there's a lot that could be talked about in the future. So I'm gonna give my thoughts on that. If you haven't seen it though, we have a lot of videos on the channel about this topic in the past, the Mythic Plus scoring system. And if you, yeah, again, haven't seen, this is a confirmation. Raider IO has been given like the announcement. I don't know why Blizzard wouldn't make the announcement. I guess honestly, in the past, like Blizzard's very hesitant to like just kind of steal another group's thunder. Like they could easily run their own Wowhead, right? But it's like they don't really want to. So I guess that was them being like, hey, we're basically shutting you down. I mean, it's not truth, but like, yeah, this is probably like 50% of why anybody comes to this website. So let's give you the last last chance at it, I guess. Maybe, I don't know, but regardless, yeah. So official Blizzard new Mythic Plus scoring system. So we got the inside scoop on a previously unannounced feature. Blizzard will be implementing a core Raider IO feature, Mythic Plus scores. We've been both an advocate and the primary driver of Mythic Plus scores in the community since we started tracking Mythic Plus over 4 years ago. So we're flattered that Blizzard is acknowledging how important this system has become by adding it directly into World of Warcraft. It's, I guess, a fair way to put it, yeah. The WoW development team has been in contact with us on this Mythic Plus scoring system, and they've expressed that they have designed theirs in a very similar way to how the Raider IO Mythic Plus scoring system works. We're eager to bring you deeper coverage on the system, including exactly how it works and how it will be incorporated into Radar IO once the feature is live on the PTR. We look forward to continuing to provide the community with high quality features. So yeah, I don't know like if people are actually ever going to test it on the PTR. Like, will we ever know? So here's immediate thoughts. Okay, so people like if that's it. There's nothing else to talk about. It's not on the PTR currently, from what I could tell. Even if it was, I don't know anybody doing 5-mans on the PTR, so we can't even test it. There's no like evidence that it's there, from what I could tell. But if it's going to be there, let's talk about what that means. First thing that comes to mind is how. How did they handle it? Okay, so right now it's like an add-on, basically, like it's attached to the window or something like that. So it's like, okay, cool. That's nice. It looks fine, whatever. But there's actually like a dungeon tab, which like nobody ever uses. Yeah, where is it? I actually don't even know where it is. Oh, right here. Yeah, there's a dungeon tab, which like nobody uses. So realistically, it's probably gonna exist somewhere here. The question is like, is there enough area in game for there to be this on the screen? I think the answer is obviously no. I like legitimately don't think that's even close, right? So there's nowhere in game that this is gonna fit unless they make a whole new pane or something like that. And that's one of the things that Radar Arrow has done well. It's like, if you look at like the actual page or something like that, you can see a lot of information, right? So is this actually going to be tracked somewhere? So I'd say probably not, right? Like I don't think Blizzard's actually trying to get into that. I think they're literally just going to keep track of the scoring system, and they'll probably let like this kind of stuff still be there. So really, if you had Radar open a year from now, the only difference would be that this score is now no longer made by them and it's made by Blizzard. So that's an important part of this because if you notice, if you've heard me talk about this over the last few years, you know that I'm very critical of the Radar IO scoring system. So let's talk about why, okay? First of all, it's not like most people, like, I hate to say this, but like most people have like a very casual minded or like a almost like, I don't know how to put it lightly, so let's not even say anything about that, but they have a very odd perspective of it, okay? Instead, they focus on the fact that like people use it to not pick them for keys, okay, which is almost a complete misnomer. Like again, yeah, it happens obviously, but I don't think anybody's like looking. The most reason you don't get accepted to keys as a DPS is because there's just you can only bring 5 people. Like that's got to be tier one, number one, if you're worried about this, right? So you don't see people constantly complaining about not making 20-man Mythic Plus dungeons, right? Like it's not, that's just how the game works. So you're not always going to be able to be brought regardless of what your score is. But they also look at it like if it's like a privacy violation, like people are collecting data on me and then publishing it in a way that I did not give consent to. It's like, unfortunately, that's not how the game works. You give consent by just logging on, and what instead this is a metric, like a kind of a look at everything you've done in the game. So those two are like the casual Everybody always complains about these on the forums and on other stuff, but this doesn't have any like, I mean, I guess, yeah, sure, you guys keep talking about this all you want, regardless. It's not going to change. People are always going to look for metrics and facts, like things that can be looked at as facts, to kind of parse like at a glance, right? Like that's just how it works. Whether it's actual Warcraft logs or scores, stuff like this, like progression, item level, there's always going to be something. You're never going to get away from that. But the problem for me is not anything like that. The problem is instead how the system works. Okay. So if you don't know anything about this group, I know very little about it too, to be fair. But I do know that I saw them when they were in their infancy trying to start up on MMO Champion, talking a lot about it. And it seemed to me like they were really focused on raiding. I mean, that's actually the name of the website, Raider.io, right? So it's a bit strange. I mean, I think how many people don't. And first of all, .io is just the name of the extension. It's also very strange to me how many people use IO to describe the scoring system. It's literally the extension. It's actually not even like, it's like Indian Ocean or some weird. So anyway, so I don't think the website ever really wanted to get into the Mythic Plus scene like this, and really they were probably designing the game or designing the website at a time when the game didn't even feature Mythic Plus. Like challenge modes was all there was. So I don't know when exactly they launched properly, but I do remember seeing websites or forum posts on MMO Champion and stuff trying to basically cajole people into like linking their guilds so they can track it and they can basically be a better WoW progress. If you don't know what WoW progress is, I'm not surprised. I don't know how many people who even use that anymore. I mean, it's a great web. It was a very good website for a very long time, from like Wrath until like Legion. I use it all the time, constantly. And they just never really took it a step forward. Like it's kind of just really outdated looking. So this kind of just took over. And I guess that's a good thing. That's healthy for competition to thrive. But I do have to feel like they kind of got too big for their britches. This is a good example of when like promoting is bad. Like when you kind of overreach and then you get the success and you're not willing to do anything with it. I feel like that's kind of my summary on why this has not gone well for the community. Because what they've done here is they focused, and the reason I told you all that is because they basically took a Raiders approach to Mythic Plus. Okay, it's looked at like purely, pass or fail, like a raid would be. Okay, in raid, the only thing anybody cares about, like 99% of it, is the boss dead? That's it. And then there's logs and speed kills and all this stuff on a different website. But when you're tracking progression, all you look at is boss dead, boss alive. That's it. That's the only thing that anybody cares about. And that's all there is to care about in raiding. When you're raiding, you only have your group against the boss. There's no affixes. There's no changes happening week to week. There's no push week in raiding, nothing like that. It's the exact same boss every time you pull it. So they took that approach and try to fit it to Mythic Plus. And it just doesn't work. I mean, that's just stupid, honestly. Like, I don't know whoever thought that was a good idea. The only thing I could think of is they just didn't really care and they wanted to focus on rating, or I don't know how it came out. I'd love to hear if somebody does know, if somebody followed it the whole time, but it's clearly just not like an appropriate way to look at keys. Like there's no, like if I did a 20 last week and a 20 this week, it's completely different. They're completely different dungeons, regardless of the imbalance between affixes. The affixes alone are different, and they make the dungeon's difficulty special. Like it's different. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really understand how we got to this point. I guess like their position would be that like this is Blizzard's problem, not ours. And it's like, well, yeah, okay. It is also Blizzard's problem, but you're the one making the metric that everybody's using poorly. So why would you not try to make it the best you can be? And I've attempted to reach these people, and the responses I've always gotten are like, no, we don't want to change it because then it interprets, like it brings interpretation in and opinion in instead of fact. It's like, no, it's a fact that the affixes are different. Like that's not an opinion, regardless of how. So like I think a lot of people think like the solution was to make a weight to how hard the affixes are, which is actually what some websites do when just kind of making like the tier list thing we were looking at a bunch of weeks ago. So it's like, yeah, if you complete a 20 on a really hard week, that's weighted because of the lack of success. So it's like the best keys in the world. Like say like there's like 500,000 20s upgraded on some week, and there's only like 50,000 20s upgraded another week. Well, that could be more valuable. So there's ways to do that. I don't think they should do it. Okay. Instead, what I want to see from Blizzard is a more comprehensive score. There's nothing particularly wrong with this progression score like we were describing, but I think there should be more. And again, I have detailed videos on ways to solve this, and at least 2 and maybe 3. But the short answer here is to add more things, okay? Now, I'm not exactly sure what Blizzard's approach is going to be, but my approach and my recommendation would be as follows. 3 different scores, okay? And it would easily fit on the add-on as it was, so never had a problem with this. Like, all this nonsense does not need to be here, but it's indicative of what I'm actually after in some ways. So so this is the progression score, 1835, whatever it is now, 1870 something, is the progression score. That's basically only valuing my progression. And just like Blizzard seems to have some agreements on, 90% of the progression is going to be coming through upgraded keys. I've always not been a fan of how, like, if you did like a 19 out of time by like a few seconds, it's worse than an 18 in time. That's retarded, and I don't know why it should be like that. But I don't think there's an actual way to solve that when you're dealing with this, the way the curve proliferates. Like, I actually think that's impossible to solve. I don't know that for sure, but I frankly don't know. Yeah, I don't actually know what the solution would be there. So regardless, just forget about that. But the other problem for me is that it doesn't show you anything about it. Success, right? So we talked a lot about this in Legion because it seemed like it was very popular then. But like people were buying score, and maybe they still do, and it's just not on our realm. I don't know. But people were like legitimately buying score. I saw like boosts advertising score instead of completion and gear and all this stuff. And I was like, I thought it was going to be a bigger problem than it was. I don't know if it is today, but it was like basically like you pay me and I'll get you like 1,500. It's like, okay. So first of all, that does happen in like PvP and stuff like that. So it's not unexpected, but my concern is that like it's exploitable, like very exploitable. When you're a third party letting that happen, you have to be more in control. So really, they should have just, like, Blizzard should have just done this from the start, because this obviously is something the game needs, but they don't seem to have interest until recently. I don't know why they're waiting until the middle of the expansion, but regardless, it looks like it's coming in 9.1. So how, for me, how I solve this, the quick answer is 3 scores total. Okay, so progression score works fine, regardless, people buy it, doesn't matter, it's fine. Then I want to see a completion score. Okay, that's the number 2. And that is basically just this. This is actually on the add-on. At the time when I came up with this, like me and Siler were actually going to make a website to compete with Raider.io. And it took us like 6 months to even get it off the ground. And I'm just like, the more I thought, I'm like, you know what? I guarantee you 9.0 is just going to kill this. So I was like, I don't even want to pursue it anymore because I knew it was a fading, like eventually the days were numbered, right? So I'm glad we didn't, obviously, but it could have been pretty interesting. I had more plans than just the score system. But the second one was going to be a completion score. So my idea was to have basically like an aggregate of all these runs. So we did 98 runs, okay? And then all the runs that are not timed. Now, the problem with this is not maybe too obvious, is that Blizzard does not actually keep track of runs that are not finished. So if you put the key in, there's no actual evidence that you did it. And that's where this one falls a little short. This is why I think both need adjustment one way or the other, because it's clear that a lot of people leave keys because they don't feel like there's any reason to stay. And I'm not exactly like trying to say that there needs to be a reason to stay, because you should be able to do whatever you like in this content, I suppose. Like, I'm not going to say you can't, even though I wish you couldn't. It's fine. It's a free game or whatever, so you can do whatever you like, but it would be good if I knew that. That's all I'm saying. It would be very good if I can see how many keys this person has finished, not just upgraded. So it'd be interesting to see, like, okay, well, this guy's 2K score, progression score, but his aggregate score is like 2.5K. It's like, holy shit, he's done a lot of keys. You know what I mean? Or it's like his progression score is 1,800, but his completion score is below that. So I don't know exactly how you would make it math out, right? But I think that would be a good point of inflection. Like, is the guy's completion score below his progression score? Then that means he's not done a lot of keys. One way or the other. You take that for what you will. But yeah, and people are like, oh, who cares? They're still only going to use progression score. I don't think people would. I think if all three metrics were equally displayed, people would look at all three. I don't know why people say they would only look at one, but regardless, that's where we're at. And then the third would be a weekly score. I think that is just absolutely mandatory. So that's where we're going to end the video on. I think if Blizzard does not do something to weight the different affixes in some way, I don't care how they do it. I really don't. Like, it doesn't matter. There just needs to be something, because I don't know, how much this is real and placebo or whatnot, but it seems a bit ridiculous that there's some weeks that are just absolutely like nobody does any progression on, like, whatsoever. People don't even try. It feels like some weeks they literally don't even play, and I don't think that's good. Like, I mean, that's a bad thing for the game and the system. And I don't really know how you solve that other than with something like this, right? Make it so there's a score and make it so progression on all weeks count. Like, that's it. If you have affixes that are supposed to change week to week, then surely you can't be encouraging people with a third-party metric to only play on the easiest week and be giving them the same credit. Like, again, a 24 on a push week is so much less interesting than a 24 on the worst possible week. You know what I mean? And I know everybody wants to meme on tyrannical and shit, and I understand it's still an outlier, but this is part of the game. So if fortified and tyrannical keys are going to give the exact same score in this system, it's just flawed. I mean, it's just not well designed. And it's clearly not matching up with the reality of the game. So I do hope, that's all I really hope at this point, is Blizzard just does something better. So for my thoughts are, like, I don't even care. Like, it literally doesn't impact me at all. If Blizzard makes this exactly, like literally exactly the same as Raider.io, it's just better because it's handled in-game and not by an add-on. And that's so much better. But if they make even one small adjustment to make the system better, then it's just excellent. I can't wait. I'm really excited, kind of thing. So there's nothing to discuss. We don't know anything about the score. We don't know how it's going to work. We don't even know what kind of implementation it's going to be. Is there going to be a pane for it? How much info are we going to have? Who knows? So let me know what you guys think about this. I'm very interested now. I didn't think there would be much to talk about, but people are, basically saying that they are interested in my thoughts on it. So let's make a video. So thanks for watching. I'm very interested in considering all your thoughts in the comments below. And I will definitely, we will be talking about this a lot when it's actually something we can test. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.